I taught a spoken word summer camp last July. And then I was thrilled when an unexpected crew of 7th to 12th graders actually signed up to write poems with me in the middle of their summer break. This was kind of an organic progression for me. As a humanities teacher at international school, I tell the kids right from the first day of school that we're all going to be performers this year. It totally freaks them out. And I tell them it's okay because we're all just going to practice being brave over and over again until we actually become brave. And we do. Every single year. And this is why I teach. So Slam Camp was such a great opportunity for me because I got to do kind of like an accelerated version of my year-long classroom, but in a week. So we had to build our community really fast, which was a interesting challenge because I had kids in there from like little kids, like an 11-year-old boy who was really obsessed with lacrosse and superheroes, all the way up to young adults who were learning how to drive and falling in love. So we started off really safe. On Monday, we were doing things like reciting Blackalicious lyrics and acting out the lyrics to the song, the Whole Foods parking lot song. But then by Thursday, we were ready to have bigger conversations, and we were having conversations about what other kind of performances we're doing in our lives, like gender, like being cool. By Friday, we were ready to talk about anger. That was okay, because we had created the safe space where we could do that, where we could take that risk. It was on that Friday that one of my students, a pretty and popular 15-year-old girl, got up and took the microphone and blew us all away. From the first line in her poem, she had the room totally stunned, totally silent. And she cried right from the beginning. And then she cried all the way through. She ranted against 17 magazine. She spat back against that horrible quote that nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. She told us that her friends didn't seem to love themselves the way that they love each other. She said her poem was for every cookie that they wouldn't eat. By the end of that poem, she was still crying, but her voice was loud and clear. She had her shoulders back. She had her hair pulled back away from her beautiful, wet face, and her feet were planted on the floor. By the end of that poem, she was triumphant. She was celebrating her 15-year-old body in all of its curves. For the thigh gap she didn't need. And that poem echoed like a rally call through the microphone and filled up our classroom. And by the time she was done, her face still red and wet, the room was still totally silent. The room was still totally stunned. And then all at once, we stood up and we started to clap and clap and clap. And then cheer, and then cry. She had all of us crying right along with her, and hugging and cheering. And then that boy, the 11-year-old boy, gets up, turns to all of us in the audience, ecstatic, and says to us, "That was the most amazing thing I have ever seen." And we're like, "Dude, you're 11. But it was the most amazing thing actually all of us had ever seen. And we were crying and cheering with her because we were celebrating her bravery, obviously. We were celebrating the empathy that she had created in that classroom that day, but we were also celebrating her willingness to totally disregard whether or not we were ready as her audience for what she was ready to tell us. And in fact, we had worked up to that Friday. We were ready for what she had to tell us. I checked in with that student yesterday as I prepared for this talk, and I thanked her for allowing me to share this story with you guys tonight. She told me that her favorite thing about Slam Camp was also her favorite thing about our humanities class together. I had her as a 7th grader and also as an 8th grader. She said, "You ask us to do things that scare us all the time." And I realized that's why I teach. And that's why I'm here tonight, at the University of Washington, pretending like I'm brave too, practicing what I teach. I'm Kristin Leong, and that's what I teach. Thank you.